Eating popcorn yesterday. What's up, guys? Welcome to our community live stream again. And I guess today we're going to be talking a little bit about some AI art generation, whether that applies. Whoa, hold on. There we go. Whether that applies to blockchain or not is debatable, but it definitely applies to NFTs. So I guess in that way, it's blockchain related. And we're more than just a blockchain community chat. We're talking about all things cutting edge technology all the time, it seems like. So speaking of talking about craziness, Patrick will not be here today. He will be here next week. So it's Scott and I flying this ship. And anybody that wants to join, anybody that's watching, we will let you live. You can join right now. I'll put it in the chat.
And come in and ridicule us.
Yeah, click that StreamYard link and you can join. You don't have to have a camera. You can just be mic only and we'll throw you on and you can talk with us. So yeah, Scott, AI artwork.
Yeah, I guess we should talk a little bit about its place in the project.
Yeah.
In our project, in Volition CCG in particular. You know, the vision was that we would be it was as malleable as possible. The sort of the visual aspect of the card game was customizable, personal, community driven, community supported, or however you want to put it. There would be we even shied away from reference art. I think there was talks about drawing our own little sketches, but we didn't even want to influence that. I mean, it's work, but it wouldn't be too hard at all.
The closest thing that we gave for our project for art was text descriptions and names, right? We basically have the card features, so whatever kind of card it is, and its place in the game, and then we gave a small snippet art description, and then of course the card name, and from there you could do whatever you want. That was kind of supposed to be the max of our influence.
Right, and it very much. I mean, it would be the same process if you're arting the cards. If we were arting the cards ourselves, right? We'd still come up with art descriptions, and then there'd be a long process of engaging with artists and back and forth and reviewing. But you know, this is a bit of a wild experiment. So we thought, without even really contemplating the role of AI generated art, this is the sort of thought we had. I mean, we thought maybe procedurally generated stuff because we're talking about on the blockchain. We had thrown that around a little bit early on.
Yeah, there was a lot of that already existing in NFTs. Yeah. You know, there are a lot of procedurally generated NFTs. So the
CryptoKitties and all stuff. But in the end, we just wasn't like it wasn't interesting to us, so or terribly interesting to us for this project. So I think that's why we shied away from it, just because we didn't think it would add much.
Right. Well, and really, in the very beginning, I think we had only provided names for a lot of the cards, and we showed them to the community. And even then, some of the community did create artwork based on strictly names a little bit. And then when we started to add in the descriptions, we got a little bit more.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. You know, it was fun to see. It was fun to see people like flexing their creativity and really thinking about the game. And drawing art. Actually, I mean, that was kind of our that was what we were. Besides the print and play aspect of the game, it was sort of like the customizable art was a bit more of a I really thought that was a kind of sort of innovative, cool feature, right? Because the artists possibly could retain the rights to their images if they wanted to. They don't have to, but they could, and they could sort of be more of a. They aren't just sort of like parachuting in, drawing art, and then jumping out, right? They're like, they could be part of the game itself if they wanted to. They could actively be involved.
The community got to choose their art that they want to use as well, right? Like if they liked a specific artist, they could support them more and more by using more of their art on their personal cards.
Yeah, and it was like and like the whole model of the lore of the game was sort of a pastiche, right? We had this like superhero anime, futurist, you know, partly spoils, you know,
Right.
like mishmash of genre and the art, you know, whether that's a good choice or not, the art was meant to sort of embody that, right? Like you could have multiple styles, you
Right.
could have multiple types, you know, like um, whether or not that's a good choice for a card game, you know, that's TBD, right? Because some people really, really, you know, key into the artwork and really identify with art,
Right. And they
the
want like
artwork.
a very defined and clear cut style or path or story being told with that art. And so when you mishmash it, you kind of do lose that. But I do think that I've seen in the past, some games use a lot of different art styles, especially Magic in the very beginning, right? Magic the Gathering in the very beginning had tons of different art styles because they were just trying to pull artists from anybody that was willing to throw art at the game because they had no money back then too.
Right.
And so you got a mishmash of artwork. And I think that to a degree, there's a benefit to that. And that is that as a player or viewer of that media, you identify with an art and you're like, oh man, that Stasis, which is the Magic card art, is awesome. And a lot of other people may not like it, but you got drawn in by that art, right? So I think by having varying art styles, you can potentially draw in more people. You do lose the cohesiveness, right? And maybe to a degree, the professionality, that's a word, the professionalness of the cards or the project when you're like scattered everywhere, but you can still, I mean, I don't know. I see the pluses and the minuses to both sides because at this point, Magic now is like so specific. Like, you know, Magic art when you see it because they're all so very specific. They still vary a little, but not like it used to. And there are other games. Ascension comes to mind. That's a Gary Games game, and it is one artist for the whole game, and so like the art style is very consistent, which is very cool because you have a feel to that game. But if you don't like that art style, I guess you're out of luck because that is the art style for that game.
Yeah, and it, you know, no, I don't need to go. I don't think we want to go too far down this path, but it is sort of like when you're trying to launch a decentralized game, do you really want a sort of celebrity style art monolith that creates all the visuals for the, you know what I mean? It's sort of like, that's not the point of this. Is not to like to create a Volition you know, visual, I don't know, hegemony, I guess. We want people to, you know, yeah, you're gonna get the fan fiction, or you're gonna get the fan art, and you're gonna get the professionals, and the thing people like most will bubble to the top, right? You could choose from any of these things, and that was the goal. I think you do need. I think we realize we need like a very critical mass of artists or players to really make that work. But
well, it was artists because when we started this project, AI generated artwork was horrible. Like the stuff that was out there, it was clearly AI generated. It was very much ambiguous and just not good, right? Like there was no story within the artwork. But now, especially with Midjourney and the Google stuff, there's some really good AI artwork generation that can almost tell a story, and you can't tell it's AI generated, some of it. So I think that now you don't need as many artists per se, traditional artists, right? You're still an artist, I feel like even if you're generating AI art, you can consider yourself an artist to a degree because you're deciding those keywords and you're trying to get a specific feel or look. So you generate art until you find it, right? And then that is your finished piece. So anyway, the artists are, you would need a critical mass of artists generally to make it work. But now everybody can, to a degree, be an artist, even if they don't have that talent or skill to generate.
Yeah, I mean, I'd liken it to like I'm sharing my screen now if you want to throw it on, but I'd liken it to like the proliferation. We do music here at home. It's just like home stuff.
Yeah.
And with all the digital audio workstations, you know, the Reapers and the Pro Tools and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And you don't have to buy these big like 8 tracks like back in the day, and you know, it's and
I mean,
like
you can make music on your iPad.
yeah, I mean, we use GarageBand a lot to prototype, to demo, like to really iterate quickly, and it sounds good. You know, it sounds like,
Yeah.
oh, this could be on, you know. And when I say good, anyway, it sounds good to me. You know, you could really, like I always say, you can really shit out some electronic music. Like, ever if you're bored, I mean, you could really churn it out. Now, I'm not a great, I don't have great taste in that, but it's really helpful. It's been a sort of
Sure.
equalizer
Well,
in what I'm.
rapid iterations is a huge deal. Like that is huge for being able to produce something quality at the end.
Yeah,
So the less skilled you are, the more iterations you need, and to be able
yeah,
to rapidly iterate will get you there quicker. So
yeah, and nothing. Well, I didn't say nothing. AI is maybe getting close. I don't know. But like nothing replaces, you know, the artistic vision itself, right? Like the
yeah,
AI is not yet ready to sort of uh, concoct these visions or these cohesive, whether it's visual or whether it's audio or whether it's you know, text. It's not yet sort of has a mind of its own. Maybe it does. I don't know. According to that Google employee. But yeah, you know, so it's good. It's a good place to start. It's a great to play around with. I signed up for the um, Dolly 2, Google's AI visual bot, a while back, and they finally got around to giving me access to it.
okay,
You know, so you know, it's worth. But and you mentioned, what was it called? Mid Journey,
good journey. Yeah,
the Discord based AI bot. Um, I guess it's discourse access. I don't know how it's set up, but um, you know, we found that it's like some were good at some things and some were good at other things. To give you a sense of something I was just toying with, most of the time I just pulled the art descriptions from the Volition cards,
right.
and and plopped it right in just because I didn't know what I was doing. And so this our description was a 50-year-old man. This is Commander Zest, one of the masterminds, a 50-year-old man with buzz cut gray hair, seated in a Gendo Ikari pose. He wears a navy colored uniform decorated as a commander with black leather gloves and aviators. He's wired to numerous machines, you know. So I mean, I didn't even simplify it. I just copy
Just
pasted.
copied and pasted it straight in there.
And you know, here we go. Like this is you know, I didn't specify a style or something, but he's totally doing whatever a Gendo. This is a John Winkler thing, a Gendo Ikari pose with his sunglasses, I don't know, gray hair, some kind of gray uniform.
I mean, it's definitely close. It's
Yeah, it's
missing
close.
some.
He's connected,
He's not
maybe.
hooked to machines, but you
Yeah, yeah.
know, he's part of a machine.
He's in front of a machine, and then you know you you get versions. It's funny. You get some weird, uncanny stuff. Eyeballs are still tough. And you know, you could influence it or you could riff off that. I think I took that one and I said, okay, hey, do some iterations on that version just to see, even though he's not doing the Kendo Ikari pose. It's interesting. It's like
Yeah,
you know, there's something here. And the other one the next one I did was the
Roomba cat.
yeah, one of I forget what his name is. Gosh, what was the cat's
Uh,
name?
oh man, I'm spacing out too. That mastermind's name was
Spinks, like Professor Spinks or something
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah, a rotund calico cat rides around on something that looks like a hovering Roomba. I mean, like we were talking before. I mean, this looks like almost real photos if you didn't notice some of the uncanny elements to it. I mean, the eyeball's pretty jacked there, but anyway, yeah, we were playing, and then you know, then we started messing with some styles.
Different art styles, yeah.
Yeah, we add some art styles. I said Mobius. This does not look like Mobius to me. Maybe this is some sort of like quasi Mobius version. This is just some digital art version.
Yeah.
So yeah, something. This is anime. It's just fun stuff. Um, and here's where I ran into a little trouble.
Yep.
The sniper, uh, well hidden sniper. Or is that the spell card?
Yeah, I think it basically will hidden yeah.
Or is it? Yeah.
A sly sniper hides in a mangled pile of well-dressed corpses.
Yeah,
I feel
corpses.
like a sardine.
Yeah, I got in trouble for using the word corpses. They didn't like that, which is fine. It's their platform.
So you had to change it to bodies.
So I changed the bodies, and it's yeah, I don't know about this, but but yeah, it's fun to play around with. It's interesting. It's just like it's a cool place to start.
Yeah.
I think I'm not a power user yet, so I think the other I mean, you had a bunch of examples. I don't know if we need to go through on Midjourney, or if you just want to show the examples that you created.
I can show the examples that we iterated on.
Yeah.
Let me get there real quick.
Yeah, it's just fun. It's just fun, especially coming from someone with no visual artistic talent.
So yeah, we had I had taken a couple here. Let's go to the very beginning. So this first one, it's kind of hard to see in these.
Mm-hmm. Well, you could just read the description.
Yeah. So this was original. This was what was this one called? Oh, it's the Queen. I'm spacing out again. Either way, it's basically supposed to be an insectoid, terrifying insectoid creature that births slimy gnomes from its swollen cloaca.
Cloaca, yeah.
Cloaca, yeah. And you can see it got the gnome look. You kind of got the gnome going on, and this generated some pretty interesting looking creatures. And that was just literally the first throw in, right? You just throw the word in, and then you can iterate on Midjourney. Actually, if you look at this, you can see there's these are actually say U1, U2, U3, U4, and then V1 through 4. So you can upsample image 1, 2, 3, or 4, or you can create variations of image 1, 2, 3, or 4, and just kind of iterate. You can rapidly iterate on here very easily and go down a path. If you like a specific style or look of one of them, you can go down that path to iterate more, and then you can upsample those. So pretty cool. These are very, I forget the term, but they don't have backgrounds. They're very portrait-esque, Same with this one. This one is a soldier with a holographic shield projecting from an apparatus on their chest, featuring a prominent glass tube glowing with energy. So you can see where it's pulling some of that. I mean, it's pretty on point with some of it to a degree. And there's a soldier with a glowing energy and a shield. They look pretty good.
Yeah.
And again, these are the first ones I ever went in there and threw in there. Those are literally our art descriptions thrown in there with no other prompts. And as you learn with Midjourney, the more prompts, the better you get with the prompts, the more accurate you're going to get results. So this one was long, right? And also the more information in there, the more ambiguous it kind of becomes. So it actually does better when you have less information. You kind of get closer to that information. This is an androgynous character in a filmy gown, looks into a holographic invitation shimmering above the futuristic smart glass that they are holding. Their face is smooth, featureless, blank. They stand in a room of elegantly crafted alcoves, like a high-end walk-in closet. Each alcove showcases what appears to be a living face, some beautiful, some handsome. And you can see where it's even in the background, it kind of is pulling in this, like, I guess, a walk-in closety look, or some sort of, at least got some sort of background, and it is an androgynous character. There's some other iterations on it, looking at like a invitation, maybe a digital invitation. It actually kind of works with that description, even as it is. very long. But again, that was just quickly iterating.
Mm-hmm.
This one, not so hot. A bony socialite grafted to her neck is a large and strangely deformed head, and grafted to that head is a live rat. So I don't see any grafting going on. It's more of a mishmash here, but there's the same thing. I think this had a little bit more more of the original text. Designer handbag clutched in one hand, so you end up with some designer look to it. Looks a little bit more sleek, swanky, soiree. So this actually would be almost more accurate. Not, I don't know, maybe not, because it just depends on what you're going for. What I've found is that when you're generating these arts, you can get a lot of inspiration from them. Even if it's not exactly what you want, you can get something that's unique. Like these are pretty unique looking, and that can be inspirational to an artist to generate or to produce, not generate sounds AI, but to produce artwork using this as their sketches, basically. So this one here, let's get rid of this. Maybe we can see a little better. Agents set fire to a complex of warehouses and ships that hold munitions, fuel, and explosives. So you can't see it very well there, but did a couple iterations here. It's clearly a warehouse on fire. This is an upsampled. It's got a lot of detail. It's pretty
well. Like a Turner, looks like a JMW Turner painting. Yeah, it's pretty nice.
So, without having portrait type of result, it's a cool background, and I've even thought someone who's decent at Photoshop could take a couple of these AI generated arts and Photoshop them together to get a better story if they could get perspectives right and whatnot. So this was a card called Proof of Work, and the original text on this was, let me see if I can find it real quick, because it's kind of interesting the difference you get. Proof. I can't find it. Not coming up. Anyway.
It's a fuel guzzling nonsense machine.
Right. Yeah.
Glaciers and forests.
So originally, glaciers. It mentioned glaciers and forests, which really kind of threw it off because you're talking about two different things. So I ended up with like some weird glacier forest thing, but it didn't really show much else. And I tried a couple of iterations and it didn't work. So I narrowed it down just to say forests and focused on the destruction. And we got some pretty cool forests being destroyed by the Proof of Work. This was an item card, so clearly this is our item, is this giant machine that's destroying the forest. And I think there's two different iterations here. It's hard to tell the difference, but there is, I think one is upsampled again. Boxing Weeble Wobble with accordion arms.
Writes itself.
Yeah.
Where's the accordion arms?
Yeah, you can see they're kind of.
Yeah, that one has
a little bit in there. So I think you see more of the accordion in the outfit, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
Accordion keys, maybe. And then again, iterating down after choosing a specific one. This looks like the American Horror Story clown.
Yeah, the top left looks like John Wayne Gacy a little bit.
Right. Yeah. So these are upsampled, again, up with more detail. It looks like it's actually like a watercolored painting, which is awesome that you can get that kind of. But you can see, like you said, even with the Google one, the faces and the eyes and the mouths get kind of distorted at times. And then this guy, a mutant wearing a bauta with multiple arms holding grenades in each hand. Fantasy, realistic, high detailed. So those were prompts I added, the fantasy, realistic, and high detailed. Unfortunately, on that one, I couldn't upsample. I was out of my freebies.
Yeah. Well, can you throw back up the Dolly 2? Yeah. I just grabbed just wanted to grab a card description and see what we get live. I hope it's safe for work. I assume it is. a lantern-jawed middle-aged businessman in a snappy suit wears a hard hat as he gestures to an open field of rocket ships behind him. See, this seems to me like a perfect for an AI
Yeah.
AI bot. There's a lot of hooks to for it, a lot of anchors for it. So, but yeah, we didn't give it like a style or a theme or anything like that. Stuff to really.
One thing interesting about Dolly that I noticed is it does a lot of photographic generations. Oh, see, there's a good example. Whereas Midjourney is more painterly. That's hilarious.
What is that? It looks like a Tim and Eric skit. No, this is I mean it's what we asked for. Gesturing, middle-aged with snappy suit. But yeah, I don't know what kind of art style in the style of Magic to get.
Just do painting.
Yeah.
Maybe that will. Are you supposed to use commas or semicolons to kind of separate?
I don't think it needs that kind of. It uses more of a.
So in that example right there, a bullet suit that also has portal to another dimension, comma, digital art.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if by separating it with a comma, it helps it understand that you're looking for.
I don't know. Like, look at this, a stained glass window. Ooh. Maybe you have to put it in the.
I would do
beginning.
Comma painting or
oil painting.
Comma. Oh well, okay.
So it's like a stained glass window depicting a robot, So, it's just fun. It's fun to play with. It's fun to. I guess, yeah. If you run out of.
There we go.
There we go.
Much better.
Yeah, look at him. There we go. This looks perfect. I like this little like faceless rocket ships gesturing. I guess it's gesturing to the moon, which is where all our coins are going.
To the moon.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it does take a lot of play, and it sucks if you only have a limited number of attempts to search. But that's why I recommend sign up for Dolly 2, or even paying for it, or paying for another service. I don't know. This is more of the same. He's got his shoulders on fire.
I'm telling you, let's try putting a comma and separate it. Let's see what happens. May make a big difference.
All right.
So get rid of just do oil painting, and then maybe if you like, I don't know, add a high detail comma. And then run that. Let's see what that does. And you have multiple iterations. No reason not to try.
It's true. It's true. Do whatever you want.
Unlimited, not multiple. Unlimited iterations.
Unlimited. Yeah, and as we've always said, if you don't like the art descriptions, change them. You know what I mean? For yourself. If this is not, if you're an artist and you're like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Interesting.
I guess you should say digital. Maybe if you went digital painting, you get that digital art style.
Yeah,
a little more.
It was interesting that a lot of those were like the same pose, but then there was one with like a totally different pose. He was like,
Oh yeah, he was in profile.
Yeah, I wonder how it chooses that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I wonder. I guess it's like maybe this will be the future of art skill, is like figuring out the best. It's like being a programmer, figuring out the best way to Google what you want.
Right.
Yeah. You Google it probably. Yeah. What is this? Like, this is ridiculous.
Oh no.
Yeah. Well, this is the My Pillow guy. I don't know. I like it. Anyway, no, I'm not gonna. I would say play with it, have fun.
I definitely recommend anybody that's interested in the artwork stuff. Definitely Dolly and Midjourney. Dolly is you just have to sign up and they have to. How does
They
that
just,
process go?
it's just a queue. I think it's just like
Just a queue.
they have limited resources, so they approve you as they get to it. I
Okay.
think so. But yeah, so I mean, what this means for like NFTs, I don't really know, right? It's like,
Yeah.
um, I've always have been like, what, you know, other than say Providence, I'm not sure what NFTs really add to the story for art, you know?
Right.
Um, artists are gonna art, and if you just like spam NFTs with AI generated art, what happens? Not, you know, I
Yeah.
don't know. It's just it's not that, I guess it's not that interesting of a story because we have photographs, right? And people thought that that would ruin art, right? Because you can just mechanically reproduce images, and
Yeah,
that
I mean,
has.
again, I think people gravitate towards the story the art tells. So just
Mhm.
because you procedurally generate or AI generate a bunch of NFTs doesn't mean anybody cares about them, obviously.
Yeah.
There's got to be a story behind it or behind the specific NFT that makes somebody want that thing for a reason. Or there has to
Mhm.
be utility to it, like a
Yeah.
gameplay mechanic, right? Like
Mhm.
something that gives them more than it's the artwork helps represent that utility. Or is in some way the utility in itself that that could be a thing.
Have you ever thought of a game mechanic? This is off the wall, but have you ever thought of a game mechanic that involves art, the art itself?
Um, so a long time ago, I kind of was looking at this. It was more of a puzzle where you match the pieces and you
Hmm.
connect and you kind of create almost like impossible machine style
Hmm. Hmm.
where you can kind of connect the artworks to create the path or the map. And
Hmm.
it didn't go very far because I'm not an artist.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'd have to generate a lot of different art to do that. And the problem with that is you can't just generate random art. It's got to be very purposeful, right?
Hmm.
So like AI art for that would not work because
Right.
things have to match together and whatnot.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, kind of. That was about the extent of that. And I have seen some other like mousetrap type art
Hmm.
card games or board games where you're like matching tiles and like generating maps and designs. But that's less about the art, I guess.
Hmm.
The art's relevant, but it's
There's
not like.
like no hook on it, like all red, all red wizards
I
get
mean, you could,
plus
yeah,
two,
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've seen stuff like that before too. Yeah, I mean, that's just like you're
But
basically
like,
hunting, right? Or
yeah,
collecting, where you're
yeah,
collecting certain. Like, I want all of the. I mean, you could do something. I want all the Dolly-esque arts, and you have to collect all those to get a certain number of points versus all of the comic style arts. Versus you could do stuff like that,
yeah,
right? Like, but I don't know if that's really. I know where you're going at. You're going
yeah,
more towards like using the art as a game mechanic.
yeah. And so like I mean I guess it gets really complicated, right? If you were saying like all forest scenery get something and someone just goes wild and generates, like with the game, right? Like Volition generates
Oh
all
yeah.
forest cards, right? But like maybe there's a like could you make a mechanic that also there's like it's a neutral mechanic almost where
So
it can help you in some circumstances and obviously hurt you in
in
others.
Magic, they have unsets, and
Mm,
unsets are like they make unhinged and untethered, and like
mm,
they're funny sets. Usually,
mm,
they're mechanics that wouldn't exist in the game normally because
mm,
they're just too weird and they're kind of
mm,
experimental. The newest one's Unfinity, and it's all about outer space and there's craziness happening. But anyway, one of the mechanics that they did in that game actually was all creatures with an artist of the artist name get
mm,
+1/+1. So like if you had art in your deck by a specific artist, those creatures would get stronger
mm,
because the art was by that artist. And then there was other stuff like all lands with a tree in the background,
mm.
give you extra mana or something like that. So
Yeah,
there was stuff like that where it would reference the artwork or even reference the artist. Um, but again, that stuff it's hard to from a gameplay standpoint, it's hard to balance that stuff, and especially if it's community generated, there's some very tough tasks there to try to balance things and make them fair.
yeah.
When as
Uh,
soon as you start community generated stuff, like balance goes out the window.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I guess you could make it, yeah, that would be like more of a gameplay, sort of meta rule, right? Where you're just like, hey, we're gonna play a game and here's some additional unset rules, right? Where it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
where you'd have to balance it with a sort of a para textual rule or something.
Yeah, it's interesting. Magic, actually, their most recent unset that's coming out in the next month or two, broke that rule, and now you can use a lot of those cards in real Magic games, and it's made a lot of people upset
Oh, interesting.
because the original unset cards were silver bordered. So the cards borders, instead of being black or white,
Oh, I see, I see, I
traditional
see.
Magic, they were silver. So it was very easy to identify. These cards are not real cards. We would
Yeah,
always call them, those aren't real Magic cards. They're
yeah,
just
yeah.
not, right? But now they're doing all those cards in normal card frames, normal card backs. They're all black border. The only difference on some of them is there's a little icon in the bottom, so it's harder to identify. But even that, even with that, they're still separating it to where you can't, they're not legal in tournament play, but they've
Mm,
made like half the set legal in tournament play. So within the same set of cards, you can open a booster pack, and some of those
yeah,
cards are legal for gameplay, and some of them are not. So
yeah.
even the ones that are legal are like really pushing the boundaries, and they're
Mm.
basically uncards, and they're doing really weird stuff. I mean, there's even cards in the game like if you touch your ear during the game, you lose. Like weird stuff like that. If you touch the table with at all, you can't physically touch the table. So picking up your cards means using a sticky thing to pick up your cards or something weird. And adding that to the real
Yeah.
game is just not ideal. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it sounds like a drinking game rather than a card
that's
game,
kind of what some of it was, honestly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I think yeah, it's all, fodder, or grist for the mill. I mean, it's interesting
Yeah.
stuff to think about. Um, but no, I mean, back to the AI art stuff. It's um, it's just anyone can stamp,
Yep.
create stamps
And
with AI generated art.
it's gotten very
Yeah,
easy. Like,
yeah, it's just so I think it's kind of a cool way to bootstrap a card game. I hope it becomes more of a thing.
I guarantee
Uh,
you that I've seen. So I watched the newbie feeds in the Discord, right, where people are
hmm
just generating art.
hmm
And the other day, I noticed a guy who was in here actually putting in Magic the Gathering in every one of his prompts.
mm,
So he was getting Magic style art and Magic style
mm,
compositions,
hmm
and but you could tell he was purposefully asking for things that were for another card game that he was
yeah,
probably designing.
yeah,
So I guarantee you we're going to start to see a lot of this stuff show up. I mean, that could easily be on a card. I mean,
yeah,
all this stuff can, and on like a high quality professional looking game,
hmm
or board game. Like look at, I mean, that could easily be a resource or land card for Magic, any of those. Maybe
hmm
not this one, it's a little broken up, but like that's awesome. That's all that could
yeah,
easily be a resource card. I mean, that looks like a legit game piece.
yeah. True, true.
And so I guarantee you there are already games being designed using this artwork.
Some Millennium Falcon, busted
Steampunk
Millennium
Millennium
Falcon.
Falcon 8K. That's all they put.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah, yeah. I'm sure artists, traditional visual artists
I mean,
are.
that's
I would love to hear what they
awesome.
have to say.
That is awesome. If there was some background to that, and like I said, you could easily probably take this and generate a background. Like if you wanted them
Hmm
in a forest, right?
hmm
Generate an AI forest, put this into Photoshop, throw it on top, put a filter on there, or what do they call it when you space now when you do like darken and multiply and color burn or lighten overlay. Basically, you're changing your overlay
hmm
filters.
Layer mask, layers,
Yeah, and
filters.
and it would. I mean, man, you could throw this guy in a forest, and have it closer to what you want.
Yeah, I think I would be, yeah, like I said, I'd be interested to hear what artists think or anyone thinks about it because I'm of the mind where there's, maybe part of the artistic process is that sort of blank page creation and then, iteration, or maybe that's just like sort of grunt work that you can focus more on other artistic, sort of the very human elements of art, right? Especially if you're churning out cards, let's say, right? Like, yeah, you need a background, like whatever, a mountainscape or something that's like how many versions of a mountainscape can there be, right? So maybe if you start with that, you start with something like, um, outsource that to the robots, and then I don't know, maybe is that a good thing or is that just take away? I'd be interested
I mean,
to.
look at that. That's amazing. And I know it's just a landscape, but
Yeah.
like, so there was another one I saw as I was scrolling through here. Landscape made of paper, and it looked fantastic. Like it looked like it was actually paper. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? I don't know. I mean, that's cool too. If you're looking for landscape stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that is very much a game piece.
How'd they get those skulls in there without getting flagged?
World War II zombie 4K
Uh,
realistic battlefield. Like, look how simple that is.
Yeah. Shows that we're not that we're pretty predictable as humans.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Even for concept art, just to like give, like I said, give inspiration of like, well, I kind of want to see, and you take this, man, that is cool actually, and then you use that as your sketch, and you repaint over it.
Yeah, it's true. It could. Yeah, you're right. When we think about the spoils being great, the spoils art, we were talking about it and looking back on it a little bit, and all the reference material, right? You had to find a whole bunch of reference material for the different, art styles, for the different objects in the art itself, and then sort of synthesize all that and then get a sort of reference guide of the artistic style guide. And then from there you would build, start to sketch out the actual card.
Well, and even then, some of that stuff you would do compositions using photography, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like before you even put pencil to paper, you're taking pictures of how you want the people to be standing or the architecture, and then you use that as your underlaying layer.
There's paper mountains. You scroll past.
There was an upsample one that he did. Somebody did. I don't know if it's the same person, but they upsampled it. And
yes, it's cool stuff, and I've been holding off like dumping it on Volition, because no one, it doesn't matter if I do it or someone else does it. So I'd be curious to see what people come up with if they wanted to start to create some art stamps for the cards.
Yeah. And again, this is pretty easy to do. We just took, taking our art descriptions, throwing them in there, or simplifying them, or embellishing them how you would like to see the artwork. If there's something in our art description you don't like, or you'd like to see different, just adjust it a little bit, generate some art, throw it in the Discord, generate a stamp with it. It's your stamp.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's it. Not a lot of blockchainy stuff today, but
not on this one.
Not on this one. We'll
We're
get
Patrick. 45-minute mark.
Yeah.
So we can go ahead and wrap it up. Hopefully next week Patrick will be back as well, and we can get more on the tech side. Back to the tech side.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if anybody ever wants to join, we always try to post the link in the chat. So all you got to do is click that link. It'll take you to StreamYard, and you can join us. And again, you don't need a camera. You can just be on with your mic if you want to talk and give your insight or your feedback or your opinions. We'll take it. And make sure you share this stream if any of this stuff interests you, and you're in groups or Reddit or Discords, and that community would like to join in and talk or have interest in what we're talking about. Make sure you share. So,
Yeah, I'm tired of hearing all of our opinions.
We're talking to ourselves. Just
Nah.
reinforcing what we love and don't.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, we'll see you next week.
Alrighty, guys. Take care.